Imagine next Monday morning, your boss calls you into the office and announces shocking news. Your salary has just been doubled. Immediately. From $60,000 a year, jumping to $120,000. How do you feel? Your heart beats fast. A rush of excitement runs down your spine. You think about the BMW you've only dared to look at through a screen, about the high-end downtown condo with a panoramic view, or the feeling of relief because credit card bills will disappear. You tell yourself, finally, I am free. All the troubles, anxieties, and exhaustion of the past will end. I will be happier than ever before. But here is the shocking part. Psychological studies show that after only about 6 to 12 months, your happiness level will return to exactly where it was. The new car will just be a means of transportation. The new apartment will become normal. And those bills? They might even balloon larger than before. Why do we fall into this trap? Why does more money almost never solve the core problems of life? Here, we are raised with the belief that money is a simple math equation of addition and subtraction. If your current life is a 5, adding money will make it a 10. We look at people making $200,000 or $500,000 a year and think they definitely don't have to worry about paying the electricity bill or rent like I do. They are living in a stress-free paradise. But the truth is, there are people earning $500,000 a year who still live paycheck to paycheck, meaning they are broke at the end of the month. They own million-dollar homes in the suburbs, but still lose sleep at night due to the pressure of debt. The problem doesn't lie in the number of digits in your bank account. The problem lies in something economists call lifestyle inflation. Meet Mark. Mark is a young software engineer in Austin. When he first graduated with a $50,000 salary, Mark lived in a small studio apartment, drove an old Toyota, and ate fast food. Mark still saved $500 a month and felt pretty okay. 3 years later, Mark gets promoted. His salary goes up to $100,000. Mark thinks, I'm rich now. I have to live up to my status. He moves to a luxury apartment with double the rent. He trades his Toyota for a financed BMW. He starts eating at fancier restaurants and buying designer clothes. What is the result? At the end of the month, Mark looks at his account and sees he still only has $500 left over. Some months, he even has to use his credit card because the maintenance cost for the luxury car is too expensive. Mark's situation is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. The faster you pour water in, the faster it leaks out. And the most dangerous part is, Mark is now even more stressed than before. Because if Mark loses his job now, he will lose everything: the luxury car, the beautiful apartment, and even his self-esteem. He didn't get richer. He just owns more expensive things. There is a very interesting psychological effect that explains Mark's behavior, which is the Diderot Effect. When Mark bought the BMW, he suddenly realized his old suit looked out of place when stepping out of that car. Then he noticed his average watch didn't go with the suit, so he bought a Swiss watch. Money doesn't change your true nature. It is merely a magnifying glass. If you don't know how to manage $1,000, you will only become a person with bigger problems with $100,000. Money can buy convenience, but it cannot buy discipline. It can buy admiration from strangers, but it cannot buy peace of mind. We just talked about Mark and his leaky bucket. But why would Mark accept pouring water into such a leaky bucket? That is because of a psychological syndrome that scientists call the arrival fallacy, the paradox of arriving. This is the false belief that, when I reach milestone X, I will be truly happy and all problems will disappear. When I make $100,000 a year, I won't worry anymore. But when you get there, the finish line gets moved further away. It's like trying to run toward the horizon. The faster you run, the further the horizon recedes by a corresponding distance. Meet Sarah, a project manager in Seattle with a very decent income of about $150,000 a year. Sarah used to think this was her dream salary 5 years ago. But currently, she still feels poor. Why? Because Sarah lives in a neighborhood where most of the neighbors are tech executives earning $300,000 or more. When Sarah looks at the yard next door, she doesn't see her own achievements. She only sees her neighbor's brand new SUV. She doesn't compare her today's self with her 5 years ago self. She compares her behind the scenes with other people's movie trailers. This is what Americans often call keeping up with the Joneses, racing with the people around you to save face. The problem is, our brains aren't designed to measure absolute numbers. They are designed to measure social status. In prehistoric caves, if you didn't have status, you would be left behind. Today, we use money to assert that status. We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like. When your income increases, your social circle also changes. You start hanging out with wealthier people, and suddenly, your standard for what is called enough is pushed to a new height, more out of reach than ever. Many people believe that the only way to solve financial problems is to work more to earn more money. But they forget an important concept: opportunity cost. To earn that extra $50,000, what do you have to trade off? Maybe it's 20 hours a week not being with your children. It's sleepless nights due to sales pressure and deadlines. Many people ask me, "So Tony, is there a specific number that makes people truly happy?" Researchers at Princeton and Purdue universities conducted a large-scale survey on this issue. They found a satiation point. In the United States, this number falls between $75,000 and $105,000 per year. Below this level, every extra dollar earned helps reduce stress. You have better food, better medical care. But once you cross this threshold, the happiness chart starts to flatline, and sometimes it even goes down. Why? Because after basic needs are met, the surplus money often comes with complexity. Imagine you buy a bigger house in a more upscale neighborhood in California or New York. Now, you don't just pay for the house. You have to pay higher property taxes and more expensive fees. You need a landscaper, a pool cleaner, and a complex security system to protect that property. Suddenly, instead of you owning the assets, these assets start owning your time and mind. Every additional item you buy is another thing you have to worry about, maintain, repair, or insure. The freedom you expected from money is replaced by the bondage of asset management responsibilities. In the financial world, we call this the golden handcuffs phenomenon. You make a lot of money, but you cannot stop. Because if you stop for even just 1 month, the entire massive system of expenses you have built will collapse. You become a slave to your own high salary. You dare not quit your job, dare not pursue your passion. Many Americans are living in gilded prisons, where the iron bars are installment debts for luxury. Earning more money doesn't fix your life if it is only used to tighten those handcuffs. A common mistake is that we mistakenly think high income is synonymous with wealth. Income is the money flowing into your pocket. Wealth is the money that stays and works for you. The person who makes $250,000 but spends $245,000 is actually poorer than the person who makes $70,000 and saves $10,000. The first person is exactly one paycheck away from bankruptcy. The second person is building true freedom. Money only works when it creates time. If it consumes all your time, it is a losing trade. Our biggest problem is never being able to define what is enough. In a world that constantly urges you to upgrade, the concept of enough becomes a powerful act of rebellion. If you don't have a clear finish line, you will spend your whole life running on an endless track. Knowing what is enough is not a lack of ambition, but a profound understanding of what is truly important. True wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, "I can do whatever I want today." If money cannot directly buy happiness, then what can it buy to fix your life? The short answer is time. This is the most precious and the only non-renewable asset. Use money to eliminate the things that make you tired. Instead of mowing the lawn yourself for 3 hours a week, hire a service. Use those 3 hours to hit the gym, read a book, or simply take a deep sleep to recharge your energy. Instead of buying a faster car to commute, use the money to move to an apartment closer to the company. Cutting down on 40 minutes of daily traffic is exactly how you use money to buy back peace of mind. Many Americans make the mistake of hoarding possessions because they think material goods have more enduring value than emotions. But in reality, the excitement of buying a new iPhone will disappear after just a few weeks when the next version is released. Conversely, a hiking trip with close friends at the Grand Canyon will become a psychological asset. Memories are the only things that compound with interest in your mind. The older you get, the more their value increases. Money only truly fixes your life when it is used to connect you with the people around you. Remember that money is like gas in a car. It helps you go further and faster. But if you don't know where you want to go, having more gas will only make you get lost faster. If you are struggling with mental health issues, money will help you hire the best doctor, but you still have to heal yourself. If your relationships are fracturing, money can buy luxurious gifts, but it cannot buy sincerity. Money only amplifies what you already have. If you are unhappy, money will just make you unhappy in a more luxurious way. Let's go back to the story at the beginning. Your salary is doubled, from $60,000 to $120,000 a year. You can choose Mark's path, buy a new car, a new house, and fall into a spiral of debt, only to remain as stressed as before. Or you can choose Tony's path, maintain your old standard of living, but use the surplus money to buy freedom. Use it to fill your emergency fund, invest in your 401k retirement account, and most importantly, to reduce work pressure. When you no longer have to work for survival, you will start working for meaning. That is when life is truly fixed. Getting rich is not about how much money you have in your pocket, but about how many choices you have in your hands. Don't spend your whole life building a material kingdom that you have no time to enjoy. Learn to manage your own psychology before trying to manage the numbers on your phone screen. At Tony Invests Wealth, we want you to not only be rich in money, but also rich in time and soul. Hopefully, today's video has helped you see another hidden corner of flashy income numbers. If you found these insights helpful, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to join us on the journey to financial freedom. Leave a comment below. What is one thing you will do right today to buy back your time? I am Tony, and this is Tony Invests Wealth. See you in the next videos decoding the psychology of money.